Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Taylor Lauren here. Here on my channel, I talk about my life as a beauty queen, as a wife, and as a mama. Y'all, today we are going to be talking about separation anxiety and traveling without your children. So if you're interested in this topic and some tips and tricks to help you cope, then keep on watching. So y'all, I am back to filming in the car. I'm running errands this morning while Corey and B are at home. I'm actually at the consignment shop trying to get some extra money. It's actually very busy today. I'm like looking at the parking lot and so many people have gone in and come out like since I've gotten here. The wait is like an hour today, they said, maybe like an hour and a half. So I was like, okay, I have a book and I'm gonna read and I have some phone calls to make and I'm going to film while I wait. So here we are. All right, y'all. So my in-laws live in Minnesota. Me, Corey, and Blair are in Georgia. And at the time of me filming this, it's like the end of October. Back in August, Blair stayed with them for a week. My mother-in-law flew down to get her and flew her back up to Minnesota and then flew back down to drop her off. And I drove them to the airport and all that kind of stuff. And Blair was 21 months at the time. She's about to be 2 in like 2 weeks. And I was very, very nervous. Very, very nervous. And it has nothing to do with me trusting my in-laws or anything like that. My biggest qualm was if something happens, I can't get to my child quick enough. Georgia and Minnesota that's a big distance. And y'all, I was just very nervous, and I knew it was more so for me and not for Blair. I knew that Blair would be fine, that she would adjust fine with me not being there. Maybe the first or second day may have been like wonky, and she may have been like looking for us. But I knew after that she would be fine. Children are very adaptable. I was very much so worried about myself versus her and just missing her so very much. But at the end of the day, it ended up working out. It ended up being very relaxing and rejuvenating for me and Corey to have kind of like some alone time and to just not always be thinking about Blair and what she needs and have everything and have our schedules just like run solely based on her. And I had this whole list of things that I like wanted to do while she was gone. Y'all, I probably got maybe 1 or 2 things done on that list, and I spent the rest of the time like sleeping and just resting and being still and doing nothing. And it was just very nice. So I wanted to kind of give y'all some tips and tricks to help you cope if you're going through a similar situation, if you're traveling for the first time without your kid and all that kind of stuff. All right, so my first tip for y'all is try to negotiate. So originally my in-laws wanted to get Blair for 2 weeks, and that was just such a long time for me. Being a stay-at-home mom and literally being with Blair every single day since her birth, and then having this stretch of time where I'm not seeing her every day. It's kind of like how when people go to rehab for drugs and they don't completely cut them off cold turkey. They give them like small doses of the drug every day to wean them off. That's kind of how I was thinking about it. 2 weeks was a very long time for me. So I was able to negotiate with my in-laws for a week, and we did that and we survived that. And then now in the summertime, Blair's gonna go with them for 2 weeks because I've gotten like that fix. Like I know what that feels like to be without my child for, you know, a certain time period. So if you are trying to go on like a trip with your spouse and y'all are trying to figure out like how long to go and it's your first time being without your baby, or if you are in a situation like me where your in-laws live out of town or the grandparents live out of town or whatever, and they want to get the baby or they want to get the kids, and you know, 3 weeks or a month or whatever, 2 weeks seems like a stretch of time for you, try to start with a week. A week was a good spot for us because that is such a big trip. I didn't want to be like on edge missing Blair, but I also didn't want my in-laws to feel like they were investing more time traveling than actually the time that they were spending with Blair. So try to negotiate a sweet spot for yourself and for whoever's going to be like watching your child. The second tip that I have for y'all is consider everyone's travel experience involved. So what I mean by that is I don't travel a lot. My family has lived in the same 2 counties for like 4 generations. Outside of, like family cruises or whatever, like we don't really go anywhere. We don't, really have a reason to, because everyone is here. Now, Corey, my husband, he has traveled a lot. His family travels. They are scattered all up and down the East Coast. Like, they just travel. He was that kid, like, back in the day when it was safe, he would fly alone and have a flight attendant assigned to him. So sending Blair off for him was no big thing because he was that kid. But me, growing up in such like a tight-knit family where everyone is literally like a 30-minute drive from each other, sending Blair off like that was like just a big like what in the world for me. So consider everyone involved, consider their travel background and like how it has shaped them, and how they're still safe or what have you, and that'll help you find like a happy medium. Third tip that I have for y'all is make yourself a list of things that you can do or that you would like to do, that you would like to accomplish when your child is away, because that'll give you something to look forward to. Whether it's just sleeping, cleaning up uninterrupted, binge watching all of your shows instead of kids shows, like it doesn't matter how goal oriented the list is or not. Just make a list of things that you can do and that you are looking forward to doing and having that you time without your child around, because as the days are approaching and as you may be thinking of changing your mind or when you start to miss them, you can go back to that list and it'll serve as a distraction for you and some much needed you time. All right, y'all, the final tip that I have for y'all is don't overcall. So I had a lot of urges to call, see if they got on the plane, if the flight landed, are you back at home, what are y'all doing now, yada yada yada. I think I did a good job of this. I tried not to call no more than once a day. And in the beginning, in the first couple of days, my mother-in-law would call me just so I could like lay eyes on my child, but I wouldn't speak to Blair or interact with her. My mother-in-law would just like video call me so I could see her or send me pictures or things like that, because those first couple of days were very crucial because Blair is still like learning like object permanence, and I didn't want her to see me and be flustered and be missing me and just wanting me and not being able to enjoy that time away and enjoy that quality time with her grandparents. So be very aware of the amount of time each day that you're communicating and when you're communicating. Like if you know your kid gets cranky around nap time, don't call around nap time because it's just going to make them crankier. Let whoever is caring for them soothe them, and that'll also help them build that bond with that other relative or that other caregiver. And it will just allow your child to be more adaptable and be used to being around other people and start to get used to not being around you all the time, because that's obviously going to be important as they grow up, as they start school, as they build relationships with other people and other relatives and other caregivers and all that type of stuff. So those are all the tips that I have for y'all. I know it is very hard being without your child, especially if you're coming from a similar situation like me where you're a stay-at-home parent and you're always with your kid. But it is important for them to have those bonds with other relatives. It's important for them to be able to function without you, and it's very, very hard. But at the end of the day, it was a good decision, and I am looking forward to my daughter being able to go out of town with her grandparents so she can have that quality time with them, and so Corey and I can rejuvenate as individuals and as husband and wife. And overall, it is a good idea, and it is that much needed time. You just have to do it when you're ready, and you have to do it in a time frame that is comfortable for you. You can start small, and then you can work your way up to those, extended trips and that extended time away from your child. So, hope this was helpful. Make sure that y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.